Namaste. Welcome to this interactive session. The Secretary has made a very warm appeal to all the residents here that we could interact and share our views. So it's 6 months since we have the Secretary here. We've had a number of meetings, personal, individual, group, and gatherings also. So I think on this final day of the year, she has given an opportunity that we could talk heart to heart. So I would like to welcome the Secretary and the members of the Auroville Town Development Council and the Working Committee to be there to answer any questions which are relevant to their groups. We are all here for the Auroville's ideal, the human unity. I don't need to elaborate on that, and for manifesting the mother's dream. In a spirit of collaboration, let's move forward. Toby? Should we start with a moment of silence? The Working Committee, I would request if you can give the background. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think Madam Secretary would like to take this opportunity to say a few words, and more than anything else, to take your questions and any ideas or whatever you want to share with her. So that is the whole purpose of this meeting, given, whatever we have gone through in the last days. So I'll just hand it over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, want to really convey a deep gratitude to all of you Madhaka is also coming. We are occupying your space. He plays beautiful music here, and I think one of the first outings I had in Auroville when I came here was to see this. It's very sweet that at a short notice, all of you have, rescheduled your time to be here today. There was a lot of discussion, I understand, on why such a short notice. A lot of times, things need not necessarily have to be strategized and planned up to suffocating details. But yesterday evening, as I was sitting with myself quietly meditating, I felt I had this strong signal from Mother that we're all collectively in this beautiful city which she had dreamt of. And I think there have been some beautiful miracles that have happened here. The Matra Mandir is definitely one such miracle. The transformation of the landscape from barren, Nanjay, Punjay agricultural land to a lot of greening which has happened is another miracle. The architectural structures that we've created is also a miracle. And the very fact that there are people from nearly 60 different countries living here, notwithstanding our cultural differences, our linguistic differences, practices, and all this, and with all the little ebbs and tides of whatever human nature takes us through, it's not an easy experiment. We've come this far. Of course, the road ahead is also very important to fulfill the Mother's dream. So when I sat, I felt that as we near the end of the year, there was only one day left, thought probably this is a time for all of us again to sit collectively with a bit of silence, punctuated by silence. If there are genuine suggestions, concerns, questions, also, I think the space is for all of that. But I also request all of you and all of us to appreciate the fact that we're all here. This is something very unique. Nowhere in the world has there been such an experiment. We're all very, very privileged to be a part of something beautiful that has been thought of, envisioned, and we're all actually actors in this. We're instruments in this, not just by speaking and talking, but actually by working together, joining our hands, contributing, touching Mother Earth, the way Matra Mandir was built, I understand. I hear a lot of inspiring stories about how all this has happened. So in that spirit, this is again a beautiful moment in history. And the choice is ours. Do we all want to collaborate together? And whenever we are in any situation, change does have its properties, its characteristics. Any change, there would be inertia, we would have some reaction, something when we are moved out of our comfort zone in terms of anything we've gotten used to. It can be very painful too. But this is a question that collectively all of us have to think, decide. And this is a city which was built with a completely different DNA. This city was not a city like New York, even probably Oslo or Jaipur or Chennai, Ahmedabad, which had a history of 300-400 years, the local people, the community there. But here, this is a city which is very different. It's a city which is not quite, in that sense, organically growing from a bottoms-up approach. It's a city which is a vision-driven city. Mother gave something very special as the symbol, her own symbol, as special as the Matra Mandir. And where else in the world do you have someone at the age of 90 plus who still, day and night, thinking of this not just from the plane of her mind, but from something far beyond, engaging with one of the top architects of the time then, back and forth for about 3 years, going into all kinds of minute details with that sensitivity. And any of the experts that we speak to today who understand cities, authorities across the globe, invariably, something that we all have to feel really, really proud of is they all endorse the fact that this is a city which is absolutely contemporary, futuristic. No one tells us that, oh, this is an idea which is passé. Almost everyone that we speak to across different spheres. So this is a beautiful inheritance legacy that we have. Now, if there's a small property, we hear of people going to courts and fighting litigation if there is an inheritance and somebody has deprived them of it. We all, by virtue of probably what we did, Purusharth, our efforts, because that is important, but also supreme grace, because it's always an interplay of our aspiration, our efforts, but also supreme grace. We're all very fortunate that we've had this privilege of actually coming here, being here, living together, and creating something beautiful together. And we've come from different geographies, different stories, different baggage, which is natural. So we are at a sort of crossroads. We've taken a fairly long time. But now, this is the 150th birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo, which is incidentally beginning tomorrow. We have the formal celebration starting from tomorrow, although from 15th August we have, in a way, started with the chant early in the morning that Arvindji and one of us were in the amphitheater. We started with the Sri Aurobindo Gayatri. But as a part of this process, do we want to collectively take this dream forward? Or do we want to again have some thoughts, discussions, analysis, paralysis? Or do we want to go ahead is something that I earnestly ask myself. So yesterday, when I was in this quiet moment of meditation, I felt that maybe if we really collectively all sit together, maybe with a lot of silence, but also with a lot of introspection, and ask all of us collectively with a raised consciousness, where do we want to go? It is in our hands. It has been in our hands. And if we choose to do what we want to do, what we've come here for collectively, it could be something very beautiful. About 2 weeks back, I had the privilege, along with many of our team members, to see a beautiful presentation of some of the detailing that the Auroville city, actually the detailing was done. And when I saw it for about 2-3 hours that night, this meeting got over around 8:30. But when I went back for 2-3 hours, I felt so ecstatic about something very unique. And this could be a beacon light for every concept of urban habitation anywhere in the world. We don't have such an integral, such a beautiful, sustainable, eco, with balance, all of the elements, with an attitude to life, a way of life, which is so special, which is so welcoming. So we're all here, and it is with that spirit that at a very short notice, I thought I would reach out and want to express my deep gratitude that we're all here together. And if there are suggestions, if there are questions, if there are inputs, and most importantly, because we do a lot of this verbal talking, discussion, I think I would also like to know how many of us would actually like to come and work together. Maybe let's not talk too much, let's walk together, work together is also a small appeal that comes to my heart. But on this note, I would like to leave it open for all of you to discuss and give inputs, share insights. with a request that if there is a point which is made in the interest of accommodating more questions, maybe we need not repeat that same question, even if we have it, so that we have a diverse set of suggestions, questions, ideas that we can factor in. And I'll be very happy if at the end of today, if we can all collectively also move out of this room, holding that space of harmony, goodwill, and a resolve that we'll collectively walk ahead in terms of not only being together, acting together with that sense of trust, with that sense of clarity in terms of information, because I also hear a lot of misinformation, a lot of rumors, a lot of suspicion, fear, which may not really be warranted, it may not be needed at all. So in that space of openness, fraternity, goodwill, can we genuinely try that is my request? And it would be wonderful if we, again, reinforced our commitment for why we came here and why we chose Auroville as against many such opportunities, options that all of us had across the world, across India. I'll stop here for now and request questions from, and maybe, Vidya, can I request you to?
Yeah, you can take names. Jesse, there's Mile. You hang on to this. This is for you.
Mic is not working, shall I proceed unplugged?
Yeah, just try this. Jesse. We'll try. Yeah.
Check. Okay, that's working. Hello everybody. Dr. Ravi, we meet again. Esteemed members of the ATDC, thank you all for being here. So I'd like to first apologize. First of all, I can't stay for the entire meeting. I had a full day of things planned, and that I had to rush here to be here for this meeting. So I apologize. I also apologize for I'm about to read a few things, and they're a little disorganized. I didn't, again, because the meeting was called so quickly with so little notice, it was hard to really prepare questions that were thoughtful and well supported. So I wanted to make an effort, but my notes are a little disorganized. So please bear with me as I struggle through. So what I'd like to talk about is the community's collective decision-making processes. For 5 years, I was a member of the Residents' Assembly Service. And during that 5 years, we worked hard to refine and reinforce the processes whereby the community participates in the decisions that influence the lives of the community. So the big decisions that affect everyone. We were working to develop systems that enabled all the residents of Auroville to participate in the big decisions that affected them all. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, my phone. Okay, so here's the current policy. What is said in the Auroville decision-making policy. Decision-making in the Residents' Assembly of Auroville is based on the understanding that each eligible person has the right and privilege to participate in decision-making, but there's no compulsion to exercise that right. So it says that you have the right and privilege to participate in decision-making. This is the community's agreed decision-making policy, and this policy was reinforced earlier this year in a Residents' Assembly decision-making event where it was overwhelmingly voted back into place with a couple of small adjustments. But this phrase remained unchanged, that each person has the right and the privilege to participate in decision-making. So then it was with some interest that I noted a statement from ATDC recently where they said that the present Residents' Assembly decision-making process on how we develop. Beg your pardon? Oh, no. Will regard the process that's currently underway, regardless of the outcome, whether it be strongly negative, strongly positive, somewhere in the middle, it doesn't matter what. Regardless of the outcome, it will be ignored. There will be no response to that decision. So essentially, this community decision-making process will be sidelined. It'll have no effect whatsoever. So let me just go back to my notes. Then I noted, I had a quick look at the Foundation Act, and I was just interested to see what exactly it says. In 17A, when it talks about the powers and functions of the governing board, it says, the powers and functions of the governing board shall be A, to promote the ideals of Auroville and to coordinate activities and services of Auroville in consultation with the Residents' Assembly for the purposes of cohesion and integration of Auroville. So then I thought, let me just quickly look at the ideals again, because if we're going to talk about ideals, what exactly are they? Oh, no, I'll be finished in a second. I'm sorry. I don't want to waste your time. Just want to get these details. Okay. So here we have Auroville wants to be a universal town where men and women of all countries are able to live in peace and progressive harmony, above all creeds, all politics, and all nationalities. The purpose of Auroville is to realize human unity. So then we hear the words collective, move forward collectively. Srinivasa Murthy mentioned collaboration. So we hear, let's move forward collaboratively, collectively, but at the same time, shut down the collective decision-making process. Ignore the outcome before it's even had a chance to express itself. So I'm not quite sure. I just see I don't understand how the two actions line up. I feel as if the statement about wanting to move forward collaboratively and collectively and together is a little undermined by the statement that says that the collective statement of the community is going to be ignored regardless of what it is. So I don't know, I feel there's a disconnect there that I suppose I would like to hear a response from any member of the ATDC or Dr. Ravi herself or anyone who feels inclined to respond. I thank you for your time. I hope I didn't speak for too long, and I look forward to the response.
Delael and Love Kamat. So we can take question and then respond together. Is that it's better? Should we have? So there's a request. Please do not clap. We put your question and that would be answered. No clapping, please. Thank you for collaboration. Love Kamal.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I have a few questions regarding the concept. I have no idea how foundation is going to.
So we just discussed that there will be few question and response will be done together. So let's take few question and then it will be done together. Right. So.
Can I request that we are a little accommodative in terms of the method? Should we also dictate and insist that this is how things will happen? I think the person conducting, Jesse, if you can hear me out, please. I hear you. I think you're very clear. We understand what you're saying, and we hear your humble request. And I think as a team trying to organize this and accommodate as many questions, as many people,
we're also requesting, I've noted down everything that you've said, and I assure you that we'll answer your questions. But I think we should not insist that we have it the way we, let the conductor, the person Uma is trying to organize it, let's be a little collaborative. If you will agree, please, Jesse.
So we said,
Do we want to get into an analysis, an argumentative debate on this?
Jesse's question is taken. Please sit. We'll take 4 questions and then answer together.
Okay, so a project Auroville building is a lot of problems are there. Land problem, land is not belonging to Auroville. Financial problem, how to build. Economic problem, where the people will work. So all this should be part of the whole concept of Auroville. Where the students will go for studying, what they will study. So when we are looking for that whole concept, then we can say, okay, whether we are on the right path, yes or no. When we are going to build a city, we should have some idea about that, how it is going to be financed, how it is going to be built, how it is going to be so that we can live and work there, and not only just be a place of, instead of unending education, be a place of tourism and guest houses. That's my question.
Thank you, Lavkamal. Next is Toby. Toby, you want to go with the answer or? Okay. One more question. So we have third question is Mail and then Sanjay.
Thank you. So hello, Dr. Jayanti Ravi. My name is Mael. I think we never met. Mael, M-A-E-L. I'm an Auroville-born resident of Auroville. It's a bit hard to be here right now because I still feel quite emotionally impacted by what happened, and I would like to state that despite all the words that may be conveyed here, there is a way of doing things that is not okay and that is not in accordance with the values of Auroville, and this, I think, we have to strongly stand for our values here. That's just my feeling about it. Now, actually, I came to actually ask one very simple question. I was abroad for a while, and I came back a month back, and as you may know, for non-Indian residents, it's actually necessary to register to the FRRO when we arrive to get a residential permit. For that, we need a letter from the secretary or the undersecretary, and without it, we cannot actually register and have any residential permit, which means that technically, right now, I'm still not registered towards India, and I still do not have any residential permit because I'm still awaiting my letter of recommendation. And I was just wondering if this is something that is being taken care of, if there is any plan on giving these letters soon, because I'm a bit concerned about, I want to be doing things in the right way, and I want to follow Indian law. And I would like to be able to actually, follow due process. And for this, I actually need this letter. So that was a very personal and humble request that in order to feel comfortable with the law of the country, I would like to actually, Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Sanjeev, before we go into answering.
The question I want to ask is about the minutes of the governing board that were circulated to our community. The governing board about 2 months ago met and decided various things about the construction of the crownways, the master plan, etc. I'm surprised that, because in my understanding, the Auroville Foundation Act has been created to create a framework of how decisions are taken. And with 3 authorities there is a primacy given, in my understanding, and very senior advocates have also given their opinion, that the governing board and the chairman are the final authority. I'm surprised that we are allowing the kind of obstructions that are going on. My question is the government so weak that it allows this sort of obstructions to go on in spite of an act of parliament, in spite of a whole scheme by which a whole, an entity that owned Auroville, that raised funds to buy all the lands of Auroville, they were removed out of the ownership and another scheme of management was created. And that is being ignored by a group of people. And the government is sitting there and watching this scenario. I'm very surprised, and I would like to know if there is an answer to why it is just watching this scenario and not doing something about it.
I would like to share something with all of you that I think is quite important today. I was a member of the development group in the year 99. During that year, in some of our meetings, we received some complaints telling that planting was done in some areas in the crown, for example, and these areas were everybody knew that in the future were going to be developed. And then there was this complaint why they are planting in these areas. Then the development group, we called Glenn, that was the member that was doing this planting. And then we requested to him, well, why are you planting in areas that in the future are going to be developed? This can bring problems in the future. His answer was, between other things and other explanations, that in the future, all these areas, because they were planting everywhere in the city also, were areas designated, according to them, for timber. And I remember very well that in those years, we were discussing, instead of having all the lands abandoned, to plant, and after, maybe, when was necessary, we were going to cut and to get all the timber for the construction of the buildings. These notes we have found, because I have been shocked what has happened all these days, and the big scandal about cutting trees in areas designated for development, and all these things. And we have found the notes, official notes of the group, explaining all this discussion that we have with some member of the Green Group. And what were the explanations, and is recorded in this, and we are going to send to the foundation these notes, because I believe that some big lies have been told in this community, and for sure we are not going to build anything in the future based on lies. So this is what I wanted to discuss with all of you, to share, because for me this is another light that has come in something that we are deviating completely of the objectives that we have as a community, and all this is clear, crystal clear. And why all these big scandals, why all these defamations in the press, telling that we are doing an environmental catastrophe and all these things? For what are we doing all this? When these things even were clear. We were remembering things, but from the year 99, many things have happened. We have been digging in the notes of the development group of that year, and we have found exactly the discussion that we have with Glenn. And I think this put a lot of light in the present situation in Auroville. That's all.
So with Joseva, 5 questions are complete. So should we go into answer? Fakira, you are in next. So we'll just check and then I'll give it to you. So I need to check and after that. So are we getting into answering as a process? Just please seat it. You are first one now. So the first one for Jesse, was clearly asking for that if there is a process of collective process and collaboration we are talking about, and RA's view has been ignored, so how is this collaboration? So that was...
That I can answer. Actually, I hear the wrong words. Ignoring, sidelining. It is exactly the opposite. We are honoring something that has been approved by the Residents' Assembly, not even so long ago, and that is what we call at this moment master plan. That's what we're doing. So it is not sidelining of or something else. It is honoring what we all wanted, that something should be built here. And of course we all like trees, and of course we all like all kinds of things, but Mother wanted a city. That came into the master plan. That came from the galaxy plan. And this is what we are doing. And some things are quite vague in the master plan, but some things are quite well defined. Especially around the crown and especially around the Matra Madia, it is quite well defined. There we don't need a DDP. The DDP is already there. And this is what we are executing. Much too late, actually. It was already for years and years that we should have done this. And now it is 20, 25, even 30 years later, and now we start working. We should ask ourselves, why did it take so long? And not to be accused of sidelined or whatever. We should collaborate together to get this done now. Because Mother wanted it 5 years, and later she said in 10 years. And now we are still 30, 40 years further. That is not a story. That is really not a story. So this is my answer to... Hello? This is my answer.
Keep raising your hand. I will take the note. It's okay to answer.
No, to answer Jesse, see, this is an intentional city designed by the Mother. And the residents, it's not a city to be created by the wish and will and whims of the residents. The Mother has given very detailed instructions on what to do so far as building of the town goes, and about various other things. There's a charter, and there are things about the economy. There are all kinds of details about... I don't believe that the Resident Assembly is meant to question the details given by the Mother, because this is her town, and a lot of us, a whole lot of us, I believe even a huge majority of us, have come here to do her will, and not to do the will of any collective. I'm not really here to follow the dictates of a collective decision if it contradicts what the Mother has said. I'm here to follow the Mother. And the current intention of blocking all work and the topic of the RAD is totally against the idea of creating the or doing the work of the Mother.
Ma'am, would like to add some of this mic.
Yeah, I just wanted to, it's a pity that Jesse has left, but it is being live streamed, I do hope, because we really appreciate all the contributions everybody has made. And I recently saw the play that Tanni Illai by Jesse, and I thought the kind of energy that all of us are bringing to this beautiful town with all our contributions is phenomenal. But I think I wanted to, first of all, he talked about the community decision-making process. Now, first of all, as has been pointed out, the Resident Assembly has full freedom to implement Mother's Charter. And there, I don't think we 3,000 of us, can we act on behalf of the 47,000 that are yet to come? What about that community? Who cares for them? Aren't we obliged to really take forth Mother's vision to make sure that such a beautiful city that she had so beautifully dreamt of, brought it down, and as she said, it is, she can see it. She said it's going to manifest. So isn't it our duty to do that? We seem to be always talking of our rights and privileges. This is not another society where it's all going to be agitating conflicts, rights, activism. No, I think it's more about harmony and with a complete faith in the basic visionary design of the person in whose name and the philosophy behind whom this city has been named, and that's why we've all come here. We came here, it was a choice we made to be here and part of it. Again, beneficiaries. Are we beneficiaries or are we volunteers is a question we keep having to remind ourselves. If I think I'm a beneficiary sitting here, well, I would look at what is it that I can get. But if we really think of us, as the Charter said, it belongs to no one, in particular, the whole of humanity, and that we have to be willing servitors of the divine. So if she has given a plan, and if I want to keep punching holes in it and say that, well, I don't think this is good, flexibility, non-flexibility, but if there's a cardiothoracic operation to be done, you would trust the specialist, the tertiary care, quaternary care, cardiothoracic specialist, which are the technical people. We've got Dr. Doshi's team, we've got experts from all over the world. They all are endorsing that this design that the mother gave is certainly contemporary and futuristic. Now, can each one of us, with whatever, we may have the best of intentions, why are we again and again questioning this? And the fact that why is the Resident Assembly decision sidelined? That's precisely our question too. The Resident Assembly with an overwhelming majority of 95%, Anupama, is that right? Into 1999. So when there's an overwhelming, bold, italics, underlined, overwhelming support of the Resident Assembly in the year 1999, we delay the whole thing till now and also start questioning why. Why are we sidelining that? This is something which has the full mandate of mother, that's primary. And of course, the full participation, involvement of the community, none less than Professor Kirit Joshi. He was the chairman back then, and I know the conversations and how he spent a lot of efforts, time, energy getting this made. It was also statutory notified. It was notified. And then, as Jesse read out, the Charter says men and women of all countries. We represent 60 countries. There are 195 countries of the world. We have to create space for all of them to come here. And all of us to live together, to have these pavilions of different cultures, different dance, different forms of music, food, everything. And that is why there is this dream that we all have to work for. So it is not about shutting down, ignoring collective decision-making. It is actually about preventing shutting down and preventing the ignoring of collective decision-making, which actually has happened. But we have, unfortunately, obstructed this process. So at least now it's a time to reflect, to ponder, and again rededicate ourselves to make the city happen, is what I would say for Jesse. Love Kamarji about completely endorse. This is not meant to be just a city of guest houses and tourism. It was not meant to be a Goa. If that was what Mother had wanted, but she wanted it to be a city where, synthesis of material and spirit for sure, but not about something which is just, it's about actually delving in various areas. And I think your question, I couldn't agree more. Mal, the right way of doing and following Indian law and processes is what Mal mentioned, and that's precisely our request. If we follow Indian law and procedures, currently there are 4 simple things to follow. The Constitution of India, where obstructing any government servant or any of the teams doing their work is an offense under Indian law. It's also about respecting the Constitution of India. It's about respecting the Foundation Act, which is also enacted by the two houses of parliament, and the statutory gazette notification of the master plan. So if we really talk about respecting these, the right way of doing this, following Indian law processes, I think it begins there. Of course, your request of the letter, we shall certainly have that looked into. Our office will look at it. Sanjeev also talked about the AVF Act framework and not allowing the kind of obstructions to go on. And why is the government not acting? Let me say that we are trying, and we need your support, all of you. We need all of you to help and support. I can commit. We're not here to drag our feet or not do anything. But this is, again, nothing new that the government or the governing board has done. This is a plan that the mother gave in the year 1968. It was not the current governing board that was there. It was not the current government that was there. And then that same plan has been ported into a master plan with the same drawings, but just the nomenclature, technical terms, so that it gets the clearance of Urban Development Ministry, etc., was done. So there's actually the plan that mother gave is being really respected as something sacrosanct, and that's what we are committed to doing, and we really need all of you to collaborate and help us. And if we don't, then we are opening our fronts and our doors for other obstructivist things to happen from the outside as well. There's a lot of real estate activity going on outside, and it won't be long before there's an ingression. So that's, again, what we genuinely, sincerely, the governing board is also committed to that, and we want all of you to support us. And Josiba, again, talks about cutting of trees. Couldn't agree, because trees, as I understand, were planted in 4 different areas, places designated for buildings and roads which were to be cut. And the kinds of trees that were planted there were the invasive, aggressive kinds of trees, which is what are being cut. And the others were the green areas in the city. Third was areas in the green belt. And the fourth was areas outside the master plan area, where again, it was a conscious decision to plant trees or use it for agricultural production. So couldn't agree more with you. Thank you.
So with the next group of 5 questions, Fakira, you are first. Come.
Auroville is home for a few thousand people, and it's like generations of them are living here. And you used 2 words when you opened the discussion, transition and fear. And yes, transition can be very amazing, transition can be beautiful, even though transition can be difficult, but it can be beautiful. But this transition, a lot of trauma is installed. A lot of trauma. So this transition is becoming traumatic for people here. And I'll ask you 2 questions, and it's not just my question, it's also my child. My child is 10, and it's home for us here. But there is fear, because the fear is being instilled here. And because some things were done with authority, even though we are again and again saying collaborative, but things have been done with authority. And things like, oh, if somebody speaks, their visas might get cancelled. So I genuinely want to ask you 2 questions. And it's a very simple answer, yes or no. Will you genuinely cancel people's visas or deport them if tomorrow this kind of trauma happens again and we are standing in front of JCB, just want to voice ourselves out, not fighting, but just want to voice ourselves? Will you genuinely cancel the visas and deport people? Will you genuinely, people who are born in India, just because they're privileged, they are born in India, they don't have to worry about visa, send them to prison? It's a very, very genuine question. And the answer is only yes or no. And the second question, huh? What? I'm asking her. I'm not talking to you, okay? It's a very genuine question. Shh.
Then wait for 4 more questions.
Respect my space, please. Respect. Respect my space. And the second question is, whatever happened or whatever was done, do you really regret or no? Thank you.
You don't need to answer that question. Thank you, Fakira. No clapping. We have requested for no clapping and any question. And thank you for your collaboration for that. Sindhuja, you're next. You did not raise your hand. So it is Ashok.
Vanakkam everyone. My questions has been already answered. Ashok. In the recent... no, I'm good. I still have... yeah. The recent actions of the authority actions in the development and the direct involvement of authority in the development of Auroville, and with or without the participations of residents, and then the way it has been handled gives the very insecure feeling about what is waiting in this place, and what is going to happen to the future of Auroville here. Thank you.
Auroshugam, could you just come in front, please? Sorry. There is a request of people asking question, please stay in the room and don't just voice and leave. That's not respectful.
Good evening, madam. Good evening to all. My name is Aurosugan. So I have a basic questions, not very details about this philosophies. Okay. So I am the third generation in Auroville. My grandfather was here. I was born here. I was out. I have come back with the intention that Auroville will grow. So, okay, there is nothing, no other things in that. I want Auroville to grow. But a basic question that comes to me, we have been talking, Auroville is growing slowly. So is it only the responsibility of the residents? Because there were governing boards, there were secretary, there were governments. So all together should have gone. There was a huge elasticity that has been created. Okay? Suddenly what, as a basic common man, I feel is, this elasticity is pulled off and suddenly there is a big force coming in. So my basic the question now is, so the development, what I hear, I feel proud of it. Good, there is going to be a development. But this sudden development is, the question that raises to me, is this going to be a continuous development, or is this something to do with the 150th year that we are going to show the world, oh, this is what we are going to do. This much amount is going to come in. This is the development what we are going to give. So is this, so I feel a little bit of contradictory, growing in such a slow space, and suddenly we're going to say that in this short period, we're going to grow this big. So this, again, puts a lot of questions in mind. Is Auroville at this point of time able to observe this? I just got an opportunity to learn about the Auroville economy, how bad our economy is, and suddenly just coming infrastructure. I know I have worked with even African countries with development, with governments, building buildings, healthcare systems. Everything works as an investment, but as a process, there is always failures that happen. Okay, so my basic question, I want to put it again, is this development going to be a continuous? Because this, we have a secretary, we have a good governing board this period. But what will happen next? Okay, so that question needs to be answered. And in this case, how do we make our own system very strong? In terms of system is whether the working committee, the council, or the FMC, how do we make it strong that we on our own work with the government and build a system, not that we are pushed to do a system. Okay, this is my question. Thank you and Happy New Year to all.
Sumit and Shankar, would you come in front, please? That would make things easier. And there are a lot of people standing near the door. Come in, there are cushions, chair, there's a space here. So you're most welcome to come in front or come inside, there are more space. I see there is a crowd near the door, so.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm very happy that this meeting was called. I wish it had been called on behalf of the residents, but I'm glad the foundation called it. And I think after discussions and answers, thank you both Toby and Dr. Ravi for answers which are candid, which are not beating around the bush. I appreciate it. What I hear about the what is that the mother's vision, as translated in Galaxy Plan and effectuated in Master Plan, this is the time when the government has decided to implement it. It has been something that has been waiting at the governing board level for long years, but now this governing board is empowered and intends to do it. And there is also, we are lucky to have Dr. Ravi, who's connected with Mother, with Kirit Joshi, so they feel it's the appropriate time to make it happen now. And it's not only the Foundation Act. If you go and read the Auroville Foundation Act rules, they're even more clear that the governing board is in charge and can do things. So I understand also the legal aspect that the government of India and the governing board can call the shots if they feel the residents are not aligned. So that's the what. How is by diktat of governing board, and the minutes are very clear that they feel the residents' assembly is unable to make large decisions. We are deadlocked, and they feel the need to push it through. And I see within Auroville a large section of people, Sanjeev, Yoseba, who feel that this is the only way we'll move. And internally, we will never come to consensus in a good enough way. I don't know if I'm paraphrasing some of you, but I've been following the notes. So the what is there, how is also somehow there, but I'm very worried about the method in which, starting from the letter from, I think it was Toby signed, saying we will start clearing on the 6th, the action happening on the 4th. Then again, I said all that last time, but my question is, there has been complete radio silence from the working committee, from the Town Development Council. From the council, my only source of information on what was happening, when things were going to happen, was from a Telegram channel created by the youth and taken over by others. There were no postings by TDC that the JCBs are coming today, that they have been authorized. So no communication in advance of the JCBs coming. Secondly, no communication in advance that because of obstruction, we are determined, we have the law on our side. So the legal position was never explained by anyone to my knowledge, except now, lately, that the governing board, once it decides, it's going to be implemented and residents' assembly does not matter. So I would have liked this to be stated in advance, or at least it to be stated, clearly, so we know where we stand legally. Secondly, the lack of communication on Auronet, on any forums, mass emails, mass bulletins, nothing. Fourth, it's going to happen, no one knew. Youth jumped in front, it seems they didn't even know who's coming. They didn't know who are these people. Toby was there maybe, but maybe they didn't recognize you, Toby. So then, because not every youth knows everyone, maybe they did, I don't know. I'm not saying that the obstruction was good and all. I'm just saying that if we go ahead with a fast-forwarded program, and I agree with Orosugam that suddenly there has been a rapid acceleration without adequate preparation, I feel, psychologically and intellectually as to what's going to happen. The governing board minutes, if I'm not wrong, were published on Auronet after the 4th. I don't remember seeing them before the 4th. So even this was not clear. The working committee did not choose to give any publication. The TDC did not. And then I know I was part of the youth meeting, I think when they were supposed to clear, right? It was on the 6th maybe, after the meeting with you, Madam Secretary, at the Matra Mandir. And they were about to dismantle, and then the action on the 9th was also not mentioned to the youth, or to Auroville, that we are now going to clear the youth center, and we are also going to go into Darkali. This was also not published. It just seems like vehicles come and start cutting trees without prior information to the community. So I hope that as we go forward, these actions will be broadcast in advance. I don't know if the fear was it will be obstructed. 2,000 people will come and obstruct. So I'm puzzled at why no prior information in such an important step, and I know governments give notices, there's a proper way of doing things. So this is what puzzles me, and I would like to understand, was it an oversight because things were happening so fast? Was it deliberate? Would there be a change going forward if we continue with fast development? I would just like to understand this because I feel this has, for me at least, created lots of questions. And then there's all sort of rumors circulating. So that's my only question, the method, the communication, and the clarity. In advance, please.
Thank you, Sumit. So the second batch of 5 questions, last question is Shankar.
Vanakkam all, my name is Shankar, and my question is about my own fear. So what fear do I have now? I really I'm for the road. When people were called for the road, I was also with my small thing, kati and other stuff. I was cutting the mullus and other stuff. So we were spending our time on Sundays, Sunday mornings. I'm for the road. But at the same time, now my fear is, how are we going to execute all our plans in future? That is, I trust all the technical people involved in the road making, in the city making. I like them. I really respect their hard work. My salute to them all. But at the same time, how come suddenly there is a fear in me saying that who is going to do these developmental activities in future? Are we within the community or someone from outside? If someone is from outside, I'm really scared about it, because they might not understand the way we live here. I'm also for the mother. I came here just because that one word, mother and Matrimandar, that's it. That's Auroville for me. But at the same time, there is a very strong fear now. Everyone do not trust each other. When I see people, they really look at me with a suspicion in their face. I'm really sad about that. And part of the question was asked already. These people are going to be punished for opposing. So my direct question is my fear a right fear or a wrong fear? Are we going to build the city in future? That is Auroville Foundation, and Auroville technical people, and ordinary Aurovillians. Ordinary Auroville in the sense that who are working but do not have even any technical skills in their mind. Or somebody from outside who is going to come and do it, and we are going to, we don't know what to do with them. That's my fear. Is my fear a valid fear? That's the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. So I pass the mic here. Anybody else want to join? I see Tuan is also here now.
You can answer whichever one I've noted them. Would you like to anyone?
About the clearing of the right-of-way, that did not start on the day we start clearing. That started more than a year ago in talks and in general meetings, and I think we had more than 50 talks with all the concerned people in and around the Crown. Very direct, very personal, and also explaining why we were doing the things. That resulted in a survey. The survey was presented, and we also talked in all those meetings about the possible consequences of that survey. Because we were also in a way of making up the mind from what is possible, what is not possible, and we wanted as circular as possible, and was that possible? I mean, that was the line of thinking. I want to remind you all that the high tension cable has been laying there for more than a year with all the costs and all the problems what we had in endless talks with the members of the youth center and Bliss. And there were moments that we made different proposals, what was rejected, and gradually we came into a situation through the year that we thought, oh, whatever we do, it will not so be quickly accepted. There was a movement of Paul to bring things together, but in the end, did not work so well. So we really were facing something in the sense from if we really want to go on, we need to do more than only talking. The second thing is that when we decided to start the clearing, that we had to be prepared for quite a few things. And there is not so much history here, but the TDC is not in law enforcement, but we could see that if we start with all the talks what we had until so far, that in a relatively short time people would show up and would stop the GCBs. What happened? And that's a situation what we could not feel right with. Although we stopped it, and although we did the best we could to make it as smooth as possible, but there are moments when you really want to go on and things are stopped, that's not right, especially after all those talks. The third thing what I want to say is that things happened in quite a speed. After one day, the next day came, and in that event, we lost on our side 2-3 people who were also coordinators in the TDC. So the span of control in communicating, and that point I will take that during the actions we should have taken more more intention, more effort to communicate. We did not have all the possibilities to do it at that moment. So this is the answer what I would like to give.
Answering to Ashok and Shankar, because both the questions center around fear and uncertainty about the future. Of all the people on earth, I think we shouldn't be talking about fear, being Aurovillians. Yes. At the ground level, you ask.
Can you let her complete, please? Let her complete.
At the ground level, you ask what is going to happen in future of Auroville. It depends upon how we behave, how much we are open to, how much we are aligned to the charter is what I mean by how we behave.
Aligned with the charter is not yes. I am absolutely, I am for the mother, I am here for that.
Ashok, no interference, let her answer it, please. We are not having conversation, but yes, answer.
Sorry, I'm not satisfied with that answer.
It's up to you whether you take the answer and I have to answer you, so I answer. Recent Dharkali actions were without the participation of residents. This is not so. There is a prequel to it. There were months, days of interaction with the community members. As it was started, Madam Secretary individually, with groups and also with collectively, we had spoken to those particular community members. We had tried to reason out with them. We had listened out to them. It's not that it suddenly happened on a particular day. It happened with all following due processes. And if it feels like it is painful, it is because everything was exhausted. All process was followed. We have all mail interactions. It's all on record. Everybody has a mandate to do. We have a mandate, the government has a mandate, Secretary Office has a mandate, and nothing is bad. Everybody is looking to the charter as one goal. Maybe they operate at a different level and we operate at a different level. But we are all going towards in the same direction. We ought to go in the same direction. And if any one body, say the resident assembly, for example, goes in a different direction, then it is the power and it is the duty of the other body to see to that everybody is in line, it's aligned. And if that is feeling painful, then we should introspect, not question the other person, the other body. And answering to Shankar, who is going to develop Auroville? What will happen if the outsiders, I'm sorry if I'm misunderstanding your question. You can correct me, Mr. Shankar. What outsiders cannot understand the way we live, so is it okay that if outsiders come in and develop Auroville? This is more a subjective question, so my answer also could only be subjective. I, as an Aurovillian, not as a TDC member or anything, as an Aurovillian, I really do not draw any line between Aurovillian or non-Aurovillian. There is only an Aurovillian act, Aurovillian behavior, Aurovillian way of living. And that person could be an Aurovillian newcomer or whoever. In that sense, whoever is in the spirit of this charter, whoever is in the spirit of being an Aurovillian, then he is welcome to work with us. We should be open to him or her. There is really no line here. There is no need to be suspicious about with someone who is coming with a goodwill to be with us, to help us grow. How does it matter whether he's an Aurovillian or not an Aurovillian, whether it's an Indian or not an Indian? We are here. If it is humanity, I really don't see all these tags, Aurovillian, non-Aurovillian. No, it's not there. We are just one humanity. Yes, thank you.
Specifically, a few more questions that were asked. One was about visas. I just want to ask a question. Many of us have traveled abroad. This is, when we go to any country abroad, do we respect the laws of the land there? Do we take the law into our hands? It's a question we have to ask ourselves, and yet, let me tell you, we have not, and we do not intend to hold back any visas. But you see, our behavior also has to be exemplary so that not only people in and around Auroville, but everybody respects the kind of community we are. What defines the attributes of an Aurovillian whose discipline is the child of freedom. We have to have freedom. But we also, and when this whole thing of communication, also the question that Sumit said, I agree that possibly we too need to be a little more tech savvy and build up on our communication, and we want to invite people like you to help bridge this, link with the community. But the fact is, Sumit, that this decision of building it, the master plan with the development plan, the first one embedded in it, was declared in 2010. And after that, even 2012, Mr. Balabhaskar has shown us, shared the minutes, where all the working committee members, many of whom are unfortunately resisting and opposing it today, they have signed. So if anything, I would say there's been an overdose of communication. Even in the short span of 6 months, less than 6 months that I have been here, I've had over 50 meetings, to the point of my office. Mr. Murthy will bear witness. Some of them thought the secretary's gone crazy. How many hours of meetings are you going to have? But we sincerely tried. Not only in my office, we would go to the youth center, Darkali walk, holidays. I've gone there with my husband, tried to sit with the people there. They're all stewards, and we respect them, I think, the kind of work. But I think to say that there's been no communication, I'm sorry, I beg to differ on that. And the fact that, is this only for the 150th, Aurosugan, huge elasticity, is it only for the 150th year? Again, the answer, where is Aurosugan? The answer is in your hands. You see, the government, let's quickly look at the whole chronology. 1968, this town was founded. Government didn't want to come into it. We had no role. But then there were some conflicts here. There was a group from here which approached the government and requested that please come, take it over. There was a Parliament Act formulated, passed, giving all the powers. Now, after that, 1988 also, till now, the master plan was made. You had full freedom. But if it is not implemented by us, by the community, then, well, because the Act very clearly says that the governing board shall ensure the implementation. We can't wait for eternity then. So my, again, fervent request, appeal to all of us is, why do you give a chance for anyone else to intervene? If we do our things on time, as it is planned, and rather than, finding out some reason for stalling it, I think then we would be more than happy just to be a catalyst. My role would be to support you, be beside you, behind you, with you, and facilitate it. And if there are some places where there's something stuck, maybe I can help declog that. But we would not want to do this. But if things just don't happen, somewhere we too get to have to do what is expected of us to follow our duty and follow the law. And I'm not saying we want to do that. So again, this meeting is to request, why do you not do it yourself? And there's so many young people here. Priya's question of her 10-year-old having fear. Fakira's question of her 10-year-old child. Well, the intention is not, but you see, when in 1968, there's a very poignant story that I just heard of today morning. I believe when this place was getting built, there's a little Gram Panchayat, village Panchayat called Tiruchitrambalam. Koot Road is also probably connected near it. So the Sarpanch from there, the president from there went to the mother and complained back then that my children, my 10-year-olds, my village people, they're all appalled that you'll have another European colony here doing all the kinds of things that are not acceptable to our culture. He had that fear. They may come here and, impose that colonial way, occupying huge pieces of land. This was a fear. Mother sat him down, explained everything. She also then, when he asked for some resources, she gave him 3,000 rupees as a gesture and said that you build your panchayat. And to this day, in that panchayat, there's a big photograph of mother. Now, if that is the spirit, so is that 10-year-old fear that many years back to see a city which they gave land not for 3,000 of us? There are instances where there are entire forest or farms of 60 acres occupied by 2 people or 3 people. Is that the kind of lifestyle mother and the vision saw? Actually, it was something different. And so we all have to question ourselves. And if we move in the right direction, it'll be fair not only to us, but to the people of the bioregion, many of them who gave away their entire land. Of course, they got a compensation, but they've become landless at the end of it. In fact, the land on which we are sitting today, I'm sure this also belonged to some farmer. His 10-year-old back then, today maybe 53 plus 10, 63-year-old, and his children, grandchildren, they would all be in their heart of hearts feeling very uncomfortable. Why did my grandparents sell this land off to a community which is not committed to what it had promised? These are questions we need to ask ourselves.
Thank you. No clapping.
So there are a seat in front, a side, so please come. Helena, would you like to come in front? There is a seat. And we have a next set of questions. Sabine, would you come in front, please? Birgitta to begin.
Hello, my name is Birgitta, and I think I can speak for a lot of people who want the city to be built and who don't oppose a circular infrastructuring, but I was deeply hurt by the way it was happening. I got a shock because this place is mainly about human unity. And we cannot split the community by bringing the police here. Masa said clearly no police as well. Yeah? So there needs to be the space to discuss, to bring people into the boat and to respect our community processes because they create human unity. And it is very, very difficult what we fulfill here with so many nations, so many cultural backgrounds. It needs more time to develop human unity, especially among us. And I am super sad of what happens, and I wish that your energy, Madam Secretary, will drive us forward, but mainly to the obstacles we face, like the land speculators, like the illegal buildings. Please take those down and find a compromise with our greenbelters, our youth. Offer them something in exchange before the bulldozers come to create unity here.
Thank you, Birgitta. Sabine.
Thank you. So, yes, one part I'm resonating with Birgitta. Today, I think we celebrate 10 years of the Tain cyclone. This is roughly when I arrived in Auroville, and this was an avoidable catastrophe, natural catastrophe, and our community reacted in an incredibly unified way, which kept me here. I remember I joined the housing service, and participate in rebuilding day and night. And I see now, 10 years later, this avoidable catastrophe on our community, and I've never seen this community so split and in pain, and this is not when I see the galaxy, the actual galaxy, not the master plan. Whenever I see it, I don't see buildings, I see a movement, I see, yes, human unity spreading from in to outside. And I'm not a planner, but for me, building a city or the township that we are supposed to build involves the humans. First and foremost, humans. Humanity. We are representing humanity here. So the planning, for me, as I see right now, is lacking that, completely involving humans and that at the root. Buildings, I lived all around the world all my life, so I've seen cities being built day in, day out. Yes. Thanks for the reminder. So building a city, I think many people are capable of, but this specific one takes incredible steps, which I hope we'll take together. So that's first a request to continue to put first and foremost the human. Like our task as a resident is actually to develop also a governance system, which is very unique, as you mentioned, and it's a gift from India to allow that. We're not going to wake up with how many nationalities we hear, different cultures, wake up with a system that works right away. So we are constantly refining, changing our policies, constantly. We review them. So for a master plan, so the question is like, it's also an exchange. I hope it's a very important time. I appreciate the time. I also left the farm to be able to come here without lunch. So please. Yes. Are we limited in time? I don't know. If we are, I'm happy to follow that, but so far not. So yes, so our system of governance for me is the most important, and it needs time. And we do vote again on policies that were voted before. We keep exchanging them. The master plan was meant to be reviewed every 5 years, the DDPs. There's a lot of involvement inside the master plan. They are the world flexible and evolving, so I hope we can honor that. And on that, I also wish to not constantly look backwards, but forward, especially for the ones who arrived after this master plan being possibly voted by 100 people. I'm not quite sure. I also check in the archives how many people voted that. That's also a question mark. I'm happy to exchange on that, but so my question is, like, in this white place here a few days ago, there was a presentation from the Dream Weaving team, which I thought was extremely, for me, hopeful and collaborative, and including as many elements as right now the humanity can offer in India also, I hope. So my question is that, will you allow for this process to actually take full power and be an example to the world, and stop JCBs to enter Auroville on the 3rd of January, so we can have peace to collaborate? You're asking our collaboration, but how can we collaborate with fear? Every time we hear GCP would jump. We know our youth has been pained very terribly. We need time to recover from that. Then we are happy to all sit together and collaborate to our full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabine. Let's be a little short, but it's okay. Yeah. Manohar.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Manohar, and I wish to focus a little bit on the crown, or the crown road as it is called, and on more the technical aspects which are not clear to me, which is the strategy. I know, because every day when I do the crown road, I have to go around some land which Auroville has not been able to buy. And for many years, we've been stuck. That is the space between, let's say, Arca and Calabumi, that space. And for many years, we've been stuck with that. And that is in full of the Crown Road. And I was expecting that starting this process of the Crown Road would start from the lands that Auroville doesn't have. Because the rest, the youth center, Darkali, is already belonging to Auroville. These lands don't belong to Auroville yet. Is there a strategy to acquire these lands? This is my first question. And second, which is not a question, is a suggestion. I would have started by acquiring with money or with any other possible way these lands, which would have been a good example of the goodwill. And then that could have convinced better the people of the youth center and so on that the process was going on. Also, in the meantime, find the way where to move the youth center. I mean, there could have been a softer way to approach the thing. But the thing that surprises me is that still I don't know how it is going strategically with acquiring the lands that we definitely need to do this Crown Road. Talking about the Crown Road, we talk about road, but still I don't think there is a mobility plan in Auroville. Road for what? For cycling, for walking, for cars, for trucks, for buses? We still don't know, and I don't think there has ever been taken a decision about that. This is also something that I think needs to be cleared. Thank you.
Thank you, Manohar. B and G. B, should I come over there? Would you come here, please? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here with all my brothers and sisters and our sister Jayanti. I invited her to come to my house for tea with Anu. Anu promised me she would bring her. So she should have had 51 meetings, not only 50. No, I'm only joking around, but I'm not so happy that some of our fellow Aurovillians left, and we have to get back to this spirit of Auroville. We have to get back to how the mother would have handled many of the things that are happening in Auroville right now. I mean, we can give sermons to each other. I'm very good at telling people what they should do, and a lot of us are very good at that. But what are we doing? We have all failed. I have failed in Auroville miserably to follow some of the things that Mother actually wanted me to do. And I think when I first met Jayanti up in the TDC office, I told her, the Mother has sent you. And I expect, and she rolled her eyes a little bit, but still I know she has that feeling. And I have been fortunate to have been very close to Kirit Joshi and stayed with him in Delhi. I know his dream for Auroville as a child-centered community. So all of these things we really need to go back to. And Auroville, because the charter says we're here for human unity. It doesn't say we're here to build a city. We're here for human unity, but the human unity is needed to build the city, to build the kind of city the earth needs. So we all know that, and we can all work together. And I haven't met any Aurovillian that in his or her heart does not want the Mother's thing, or they wouldn't be here, they wouldn't be able to live here. So to get back to that spirit, to get back to what Mother would do, and we can sit down together. There's no reason for this drama. There's no reason for it, and I think I would have to say to Jayanti, and they've made some mistakes, and also my dear friend Toby. Toby, can you imagine, sent a letter the other day to an Auroville-born resident who has been trying to build his house for the last 7 years, and now has turned him down and said, no more NOCs are going to be issued by TDC until we have a detailed development plan. who's blocking the development? I mean, Christine, one of the other meetings, she said, it's not the people who planted the trees that are obstructing the development of the city. I hate to say it, it's been our dysfunctional groups. And I've been part of those groups. And I've been dysfunctional. But now we have to take a new step. And the way forward has been presented, and Sabine mentioned it, and others have mentioned it. We have the Dreamweavers strategy. We have a way, we have a method, we have something that can unite the community. And as I understand correctly, the TDC is involved, the secretary is involved, most people are involved with this plan. So what we have to do is unite behind that plan. The RA can approve that plan, I'm sure, and we have a way forward. So 2022 is going to be a very critical world, not just for Auroville, but look what's happening on the planet. The planet is falling apart. So we have to get it together, and we have a way to go forward. And I would say that's the Dreamweaver way, where we weave together all our individual inspirations in the mother's spirit. So that's my sermon, and I know I'm sorry to sort of preach to you or to preach to anybody, but I really appreciate that she has come and that we have come. Thank you.
Thank you, B. Guy, would you?
I would like to start with, I don't like to speak about myself in public, but I'm afraid I will have to do it in order to justify some of the remarks I may make in the future. First of all, I appreciate very much, Madam, that you are sitting with us, and I appreciate that you invite us to speak from heart to heart. I have been feeling in the last meetings and also in lots of communication that a lot is being arguments which are being made on the basis of documents, on the basis of legalities. And in that sense, actually, I also have a document here in my hand, which is only an attempt to correct a certain narrative which is there about the meetings. Actually, I was a shaker and mover behind the master plan in 1999. It was a beautiful movement which was inspired by Dr. Kiri Joshi in order to protect the land for Auroville. He was very much concerned about this. And in those days, from 1997 till 2003, I was actually part of negotiations, purchase, and fundraising for the land of Auroville. So in that capacity, Dr. Kiri Joshi asked us to develop a master plan in order to give a protection for the Auroville land. So we made that master plan. It was a beautiful collective movement in which people from all walks and all visions and all perspectives within the community participated. Just to make it simple, let's say the city men and the green belters, they sat together in order to formulate a profile, a document. And basically we managed in 28 July 1999 to have it approved by the Residents' Assembly. I was chairing this meeting, and in that meeting about 100 people were present. And all agreed except one. I'm not naming it, it's also not mentioned in the minutes. But there was a caveat to that agreement. And the caveat was that it was clarified that the document, I will need my glasses, sorry. That the document actually is aimed more at the protection of the green belt, and apart from the zoning, does not give detailed proposals for the development of the city area. The more detailed planning will be an ongoing process with all interested wholeheartedly encouraged to participate. On this basis, the master plan profile, which is different from the final document, was approved. Now, I'm not one of those who is disagreeing with the master plan. On the contrary. And that's another narrative, according to me, a wrong narrative which is there, is that community is against development, is against city development, is against the master plan, and is against the Crown Road. I still remember very clearly the very first meeting we had in Kalabumi. Paul was saying very clearly, we have decided, and he spoke, I guess, on behalf of the Green Group and the Green Belters, we have decided to embrace the Crown Road, not to resist it. It was beautiful to hear that, and I was happy. Now, the question regarding the Crown Road and regarding the implementation of other aspects of the master plan is the methodology. What I notice and what I regret is it looks as if the master plan document, which was finally approved, actually for 5 weeks I worked together with Dr. Kiri Joshi in Delhi in order to present it to the government and government officials, and finally have it approved in 2001 by the ministry. Now, this is not a document, according to my humble opinion. It's not a document which is written in stone. It doesn't mean that everything which is mentioned in the document needs to be exactly implemented as it is written there. Actually, the ATDC itself has already made a change by making the Crown Way much smaller than originally foreseen. But even apart from this, and I appreciate that you make adjustments, but I believe that also other adjustments are possible. So my plea is, and I have also a question, my plea is not to consider the master plan, and personally I'm fully behind it, not to consider it as a Bible or a Quran or the Torah, but to consider it actually as a guideline and a document which helps us as a community to come together and work for the development of the city. The question I have is a very practical one. I've always been wondering why you started the Crown Way. I know that you started before, but let's say in the last month, why actually did you not focus in clearing the way in undisputed areas and focused actually, let's say, on critical areas, which was the youth center and Darkali. So I don't know whether it's... And the second thing I want to say is, why was there not some more patience given to the youth in order to come to an agreement with you? I followed that process very closely, and actually the youth called on a certain evening for Aurovillians to go and remove the buildings, help remove the buildings. When I came there, there was a meeting happening. I came there actually to help remove the buildings. But anyway, there was a meeting happening. So I can understand that that meeting actually worked on your patience or lack of patience. But my clear feeling was, if you have given us 1 week, that actually we could have come to an agreement with the youth in the youth center and your action, and have in a very peaceful manner actually implemented what is there now. So these are my 2 questions.
Thank you, Guy. Guy, I'm tempted to add that I was in that meeting as well, and there was a very clear decision taken that let JCB come and break it, and we will hold hand and take picture and send it all over the world, and that's what we did. So I was there in the meeting, and I came home with that. I'm sorry, I just crossed my boundary. 5 question is over. Answer time.
Which one do you want? Try this one.
Hello. I think there's quite a lot of variety of questions. See, there are certain things I just wanted to make it clear. See, we as the members of Lavanya de Auroville, ATDC, we have a certain clear mandate and we have a certain role to perform. And we will be failing not only the community as well as the government and whoever has entrusted us with this role, and we'll be setting a bad precedence. So first and foremost, I would like to clarify that whatever we are doing, we are supposed to do it because that is our dharma. Now, if you look into the Act, what the Act clearly says is the Government of India is the custodian of the project. So let us be very clear about it. Now, second, if you see the master plan is a legal document. It's a perspective plan, but whatever we call it, it's a legal document which has been created for our benefit to protect us, whether it's in land or whatever it is. And here I would also like to beg to differ when we say to throw people out, the private people who have purchased that land. See, we still are not in a position to claim that right. Officially, if you see today, we are one of the biggest landholders in this area. And any Indian citizen of India has the right to buy that land. That is the legal stand right now we are in. And how do we overcome that? The easiest way for us to overcome is to show that there is an Auroville which is existing. Now, being in the planning office, I'm sure many of you would also be will be aware, the amount of the influx of tourists which is happening in and around Auroville in the last 5 years. And we all know the amount of homestays and guest houses which has been sprawling in and around Auroville. See, there are so many indicators to say that we are moving away from what Auroville is supposed to be. And these are ticking time bombs. These are not set by us. Some more things are happening from outside. Maybe we have been part of it. We don't know. But the things is it has started ticking. And the earlier we respond to it, the better to us. And before I joined Auroville, it took me quite a lot of time to really understand what is Auroville. One of the things I really looked into it is, the charter mentions, it says to spring boldly towards its realization. I always wonder, why did Mother give this word boldly? She could have said it could be a safe haven, the Garden of Eden, whatever it could be. But somehow after being here, when you study the galaxy, it has the best synchronization of all the polarization you could find in the world. And when you look into a planning office, in the outside world, there is something called the governance, and then there's something called the planning. Both of these things go hand in hand. Unfortunately, in Auroville, this line is very, very thin for us. Now, for example, if you see, Mother gave us the charter. You could also call it as a kind of a policy document, but she gave very clear policy instructions, the speed of how much you have to drive in the road, 15 kilometers per hour with that weight, whatever it is. What should be the area which is seen as the need for. These are policy statements. And then you have a planning, in terms of she gave us the galaxy, the charter. So all these things have been given hand in hand. And Lavanya and Pothus, these are the two bodies which the Mother herself had created to manifest Auroville. I beg to differ when we say that we have to first create human unity and build the town. I don't see, if that is the thing, why would a founder go to the level of finding an architect to come up with a concept, then give a charter, and then to say what is to be a true Aurovillian, and then also give policy decisions about how things have to happen. So what I could see from point of history and archives is completely different. Otherwise there's no point in even creating something called Lavanya by Mother. It's not something which the foundation created. Foundation transformed Lavanya de Auroville into an official body which is legally accepted by the Government of India. And how do they do it? By issuing a standing order. So I think legally, I'm very grateful that the Government of India has been supporting us thoroughly, giving us all possibility to collectively grow. And we should also not forget that we are in a situation where the outside growth and outside the way things are happening is a ticking time bomb. We still can't be very lethargic about it and keep on thinking that that we could live in our own backyard and grow according to that. And third is I think that the master plan, there are 3 layers of master plan. See, one is it talks about the preamble. One are the things which talks about how it has to be understood, which is a legal on a legal sense, it is set right. The other things is which is given as suggestive. Now the 30-meter width right of way is mentioned as suggestive. So we had the opportunity to reduce it to 16.5 meters. But if you see the crown, the circularity of the crown, the zones, all these things have been clearly said that they cannot be changed. Not only that, there is a mandate for TDC in 2007 where the RA mandate clearly says that we are not supposed to go against all these things. It clearly talks about the crown being the key element. It talks about the zones being the key element. It talks about the green belt, which has to be manifested. All these things have been given to TDC to ensure that these things have been implemented. So where we are coming, and what I would like to say is, let's not question all these things. And let's go as per the charter. Yes, there are differences, but I think that's why we from different countries have come here to overcome all these polarities. And that is what the galaxy talks about. If the outside world has found a solution, then why are we here for? There is no need for us to be here in Auroville. Obviously outside you have the difference between environment and development, you have difference between different kinds of economic style, you have difference between mobility. Our job here is to synthesize and to find a solution to the world. That's why we from different countries are coming here and trying to work towards it. And definitely it needs courage. We need to give up our fear and we need to move forward. Yeah. So I think when you talk about the legality, Mr. B, I think definitely it's a legal document. That is how the governance system has been set in India. So it's a master plan is a legal document. We like it or not. That is the bottom line. We have to respect it. And there are suggestive sections in that within which we can play around with it. The second thing is when we talk about the protection and all these things, we also have to understand where our current realities are. We are one of the biggest land holders of this place. It is up to us to show how we manifest Auroville. And thirdly, let's do it boldly. That is all my prayer today to everybody. Thank you.
I'm quickly looking at the questions. I think we start with Brigitta, right? Brigitta. The fact that, yes, I've been reading Mother on Auroville, and certainly Mother did say no police, no drugs, no courts. All of that has been said by her. We respect it. In fact, on the morning of 4th December, when the TDC team went to start the work, this was done in broad daylight at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that too after having about 50 different meetings with them starting this year, but even before that, as we said, 2012, as what you've minutized everything, people have signed that they will be clearing the right of way. And after, as Toby said, I think probably the electrical wires, they were lying for 3 years, not even 1 year, 3 years in the open. Now, this is all also not land owned by any private individual. Just for a minute, let's assume we are in any other country, any other part of India. If there is a right of way, if there is a cable to go, and it's even if it is your own personal land that you own, would you as a citizen be allowed to stop it? The truth is, we are not. If there is a electrical wire going through it, we have to. If that is the master plan, if that is the plan for the city, we have to allow it. But here, when the land is all actually owned by the foundation, it is not private land. We all stewards there. We are holding that land. There is no sense of me, mine. And yet, if we absolutely are insistent, adamant that I will not even let the wire go through it, I don't know to what extent that is justified. And yet, after all this time, repeated appeals, meetings, when the work started at broad daylight at 9 in the morning, we have all the evidence with us. This is again not to find faults, but there were children, women, babies being thrown on the JCBs. We had to call in the police. We have photographs to restrain people from hurting themselves. I mean, we didn't want to have, again, people injuring, falling in front of it, and therefore the police was called, and about 4 officers did come on the morning of 4th to prevent people from disrupting the work, throwing themselves in front of JCBs and injuring themselves. And yet, the work came to a grinding halt because there was a big group for something that we had decided in 1999, 2001, and then 2010 it was gazetted. And again, as all of us have said, the master plan does allow for flexibility.
but not for the basic thing. I mean, if you're designing a house and you've decided the kitchen is here, the toilet is here, and if you decide that I'm going to put the toilet in the kitchen or I'm going to put the kitchen in the drawing room and lounge, that was not the flexibility. But yes, within the kitchen, do you want a kitchen with, you know, a certain color of tiles? Do you want it as an island? Or do you want to have some, you know, other sink on the right side, left? There is flexibility, but flexibility doesn't mean you change the entire thing. But nevertheless, after doing all that, when we had a discussion with the senior police officers also who had come that day, because we all felt there's no point doing this in a manner that would further precipitate the situation. So they did suggest, we collectively felt that in the evening, because there was no residences there, it's a area which has got trees meant for the crown plantations done over a period of time, with a clear understanding that these trees, they're aggressive, invasive trees like acacia, eucalyptus, and so on, which had to be cut. It was decided that in the evening, so that you don't have again children and women coming and stopping the work, and that is how it was done. So there is this whole question of the fact that no police, we certainly don't want any police, we don't want to have recourse to any courts, anyone else. But if we fail to do, again, our appeal is, then we will be obliged to wait and have a vacuum where others may have to step in. So this is again a point where we all have to sit, introspect, reflect, and choose what course we want to do. And again, these buildings were unauthorized buildings. The youth center, we know that when the master plan was made, the building or the shack or whatever was set up there, and I have also been, one of my first visits has been to the youth center, and even after the fourth went there, I think we really want to again place on record, all of us, genuinely from our heart, we love all of us here. And I think that is the beauty of this community. But that doesn't mean we take the law into our hands and decide to build something in the middle of what is meant, because this is not a very selfish point of what suits me today. I have to be a very responsible person who has been given this very, very special responsibility of building a city for 47,000 more people to come and stay, and I have to be conscious of that collectively, each one of us. It's in that spirit. So if we go around setting up things which we know are actually not meant to be there, there's a place for everything and everything in place. So that is there. And again, Saban's point of this whole thing of, it could have been avoided, and this fear with peace, it's in our hands, isn't it, Sabine? Why do we want to be in this situation where we do not want to respect something that our whole community has decided, and we absolutely are obstinate, adamant that we will not let it happen? Then we are exposing ourselves to that little bit of vulnerability. Instead, when we are on a path, a collective group staying like this, wedded to the ideals of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, one of the first things is discipline, that little internal discipline, collective discipline, consciousness. And if we work with that sense of understanding and we are harmonious in allowing what has been decided by the Mother, endorsed by all of us, if we allow it to happen, why would there be fear? I don't think there's any room for fear, need for fear. So again, my appeal is we would really love it to happen in a spirit of collaboration, peace, fun, enjoyment. Why don't all of us join? I hear beautiful instances of how the Matra Mandir was built. All of you came together, you were all involved. I was not here. And don't you think our 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, everybody can be involved in planting trees? And rather than coming and obstructing vehicles which have to willy-nilly do their work, because we are not allowing them to do their work. Instead, if we all join this process, I think it could be a beautiful transformation, and not just brick, gravel and sand, but also consciousness. Yesterday we were can some of us in Auroville start having these little sessions, maybe on a weekly basis? I do know people like Arvind, I've been requesting him for a long time, chanting or whatever, Narad, some way to raise our collective consciousness, because this is not a city which is going to be built on the outside. As the Mother said, the more we plumb into the inside, the city will get built, and that we have to sincerely, collectively do that. The Manohar's point about strategy, land acquisition, Manohar, we've sent the proposal in the month of September to the government. But the question that the government also is asking, you have
grabbed about 3,000 acres of land, and they're just 3,000 of you. What is the justification for us to give more? This is a question they're asking, and rightly so. So we have to tell them that our intention is not to be a land grabber and go on accumulating land, but actually genuinely be authentic, be honest, truthful about the purpose for which we got the land. Protecting the land, yes, was a point, but protecting it for what? Not for it to just lie wasted, lie that way. It was for a purpose that we had committed to. So it's in that spirit that we have to do, and mobility plan is being worked out. All that is a part. There have been several studies, Billinger and so on, and I think Srivatsa will explain that. And when you talk of outsiders having to be convinced, let me complete. When we talk of outsiders having to be convinced, come on, doesn't charity begin at home? If we do what we have to do, we become morally and we show the way. We are people who've come here to be beacons for the rest of the world. And we've already taken over their land. Of course, we've paid for it long time back and not used it for the purpose. Now, isn't it expected, wouldn't it be becoming of us if we walk the talk, we show our sincerity, we say that we've taken the land here, if we allow an unauthorized structure to be not touched, but we insist that you should sell your land because you are from the bioregion, you're not an Aurovillian. I think we need to have parity on both sides. Let us be authentic, truthful, and fair. Everybody has a right to have a fair stake in this whole development based on mother's vision. We're all dreaming of it. And what B spoke about, child-centered community, yes. And that is why if we educate our children on the master plan, on this dream of the mother, what was taught, not just the city of brick and mortar again, but also the human beings, human unity, all these 12 qualities. I can see Jaya sitting there. I think these are the conversations we ought to have with our children, and not sometimes the activities that are not really conducive to children. Sometimes we see videos and photographs of it, which is not possibly very healthy and good for them. Similarly, no more NOCs. Well, there again, by the TDC, should we wait for human unity to give the NOCs then? So in the same way, just as you want NOCs, we would certainly like to give, but the city and the NOCs all have to go together. And I think we should work in that direction. G also talked of being a mover and shaker during Kirit Bhai's time. I respect that a lot, and the idea is to, incidentally, the 16.5 also, even yesterday we were sitting with some of the experts, and Luca was also there. He actually is insisting that this is going to be too short because there are how many pipes of water, Tuan? I forget. 7 pipes of water, because if you want to have uninterrupted water supply, we are not living in some banana land. I mean, much as we want this city to be a top-class city with the best facilities for the inner and the outer. It can't be something which is shoddy, something which is very tentative, some patchwork, etc. It has to be something which is beautiful, robust, sustainable, and all the facilities for the people, because it's going to be a beacon light for the whole world. So in fact, the 16.5 itself, by the way, yesterday we were having a conversation. There was a bit of an objection saying that there should be more, but we'll have to figure out how to deal with that. And government land, again, I think that's more or less the points. Dream weaving, yes. Now, dream weaving is a process that began about 4 months ago. September onwards, we've been having conversations with Omar, David. In fact, it started in a meeting where Jaws came. In fact, very, very surprisingly, it was not about the city. It was about SLI, the Sustainable Livelihood Institute meeting, where he showed a diagram of what David had put together. And I thought it was a beautiful way, because I'm also new. I'm also trying to learn from all of you. And so immediately within, I think, the next week or 10 days, we had gone to Omar's, I don't know if he's here, his studio. And I must also share that he has some very good brownies there and coffee. So we were also treated. So, and we'll also come for some tea to B's place. Anu, we'll have to, sometime we'll go together to have a cup of tea, if we are still invited. Thank you. So we did have a meeting with Omar. David was also there, and Srivatsa was there. And then it started. We also interacted with Professor Balakrishna Doshi. So this is going on. Again, let me clarify. It's like, to again give the same metaphor or simile, you've designed a house, there is a kitchen, there's a toilet, there's a living room, there's a lounge, staircase. We have to respect those spaces. Within that, dream weaving has all the infinite possibilities to design the way you want to have your kitchen or the crown. What are the elements? Of course, the ROW. So in the meeting as well, that has been clarified. And we want all of you to participate. And it's a very nice, professional way of factoring in things. And we also have the privilege of Anupama also. She's now a part of our team. Jacqueline is here. She's also our advisor. You'll have to say something today, Jacqueline. Something. And so this is something beautiful that is happening, where this whole legacy of what the mother had worked is slowly, it's taking shape, it's forming in front of us. And I think all of us have to be a little patient, but also a little firm, committed in walking with it together. So the dream weaving is certainly going on, and the work will also go on, because dream weaving will help us realize all those elements in the crown. You may want to have an open air theater, maybe a plaza, maybe. So is that blessing from the top?
Rain started, the blessing rain. So may I? So we have so far completed 15 questions, and it has taken us 2 hours. We have another 15 questions. Are we ready to go till 7? If not, can we just take high point of few questions and close? Is that okay with everybody?
So my question was, why is the Crown Road, the Crown Way, the works on it not started in less critical areas?
Okay, clear. Yeah, clear. It has started in the least contentious areas. I mean, it started in 2009, where we started the first paving of the Crown. I can remember that Karen Singh opened it even in front of almost to Arca. And in that way, we went from area to area where actually no contention was. And that's also where it stopped. And the only places which are left at the moment for the Crown is the communities, Bliss, Darkali, Centerfield, and the lands we don't have. I mean, this is the only places.
So I come back again in time management. We have 15 questions, and our last 15 question has taken us 2 hours. So how are we going to, and a meeting was 3 to 5, is 15 minutes past 5. So what is the mode of the committee? Should we close with 3 questions? Will that be okay? And people who have not spoken in recent, I would invite Sonia, Michael, and Tuan is last. Yeah, we can close with you. Is that okay? So, so we don't have time. We have a lot of names, and they will feel exactly like you. So let's have a little discipline of managing it today, and we can have another meeting. I will pass these names on that it starts with that. Is that okay? I have. So I've written. Or is it possible that we select all the questions? Online questions and has already arrived. Chitis has been very nicely listing them, and he has passed it to me. I will type it down and pass it. So is that okay, Chitis?
Can we just take 2 minutes and ask the question, and answer can be given later? Questions are more important.
So is it okay? Instead of taking the answer, let's take the questions now. Is that okay for everybody else? Then I'm going with right now Pashi-ji and Sonia. Where is Pashi-ji? Okay, so Sonia, it goes to you now. Only question.
I just want to go a little bit more in clarity.
about the Dreamweavers. We were very inspired with the meeting this week. And if we talk about collaboration and doing things together, I would really like to ask a question. Can you, for the moment, at least for the next, say, up to end of February, can we wait with doing any extra work on the further work on the crown until we have some conclusions from the I might be able to give my question. You can have your answers. I just ask, is it possible that we, like, because if we are dream weaving, if we are saying something, how we like to do it, we do it together. And look, I'm in favor. My house is very close to the road. I know that from the beginning. I'm not against it, but I would like to know a little bit more. I don't even know what traffic is going to be. When I asked Toby and Amwu, he said he doesn't know. Eventually, it's for just walking or cycling or e-traffic or public transport. But I don't have more information. I would like to get more information. That's not a question. But my first question is, can we have patience and not go, like by the time we have the Dreamweavers process finished, that actually there's nothing to do anymore because everything has been done with the GCB already. That's my fear. Can I just ask this? It's a question you can answer.
There's a name of Devasmita and Anu. Do you still have something to add or say? Okay, come. Anu, you are still on. Yeah, right now you just for questions. So I pass. Okay.
I have a question to those who came to stop JCB that never have been used in the green belt, the JCB. And are we honest when we just cleared the place of Frisbee ground and the Ashwagandha area, and nobody in the community was awakened. They did not go and stop cutting up the trees. And now suddenly when we need to really go for the real aim of Auroville, suddenly they are opposed to it. It disturbs. Can we not collaborate with our honesty and sincerity, especially when this time we are so lucky to have a Secretary Madam who is so eager to see that. And for the first time, the governing board is not been always fed by just everything is goody-goody about Auroville, but that things need to evolve as per mother's dream and vision. Thank you for being honest, and to really I call everybody to collaborate and be honest to your being here in Auroville. Thank you.
Anu, you're answering, so we are not doing the answering part. So, Chitish, would you, your name? Okay. Sandira, you are next. Is Manikandan still here? We are just catching up this, so after that we'll see how much we have time.
Thank you, sir, everyone. Usually, I just stay behind the console and try to participate as a facilitator of online. This time I have a question, but I would like to thank you, Stefano, Dave, and Elka for supporting me to set up this meeting very quickly. And the question I have is again related to Dreamweaver. Will you allow the Dreamweaver outcome to be heard before further development work? And another question I have is constantly coming from the people who are online. What are we doing with the questions that have been submitted before? Are we at least mentioning them for record over here so they can be taken over later instead of writing? Yeah, thank you.
Sandhya. The questions, online question is with me, and I would read it through, but let the speaker who are present given a priority.
So my name is Sandhya, and yeah, I have to admit that it's everything what's happening right now is for me very painful because suddenly I am kind of have to look at people and thinking of sides. I don't like it. I have friends with different opinions, and they're all my brothers and sisters. And I really think we have to stop this division which is happening between us. And I'm, Madam Secretary, I'm very grateful that you gave a wake-up call for us. And I was serving for 3.5 years in the council, and I know how difficult it is to proceed and progress. And we have a habit of going very slow and blocking each other. And I do think that now we have the chance to move forward. But I came here for human unity. We can only build the city on human unity. And we now need to walk together. We can't walk separate. It's not possible. So I think if you want to build really the city, you need to hear this. You need to hear we only can build it on human unity. And I think the Dreamweavers gives us a really great ability to move forward together. And Sauro was actually saying we were never so close to find a way, a common way to move forward. I really beg you, take this chance and build the city, because if we don't have this human fabric of being together, we can't build this city of 50,000. We need to come together. And I do think that we couldn't progress because we were so still divided and blocking each other. For me, my question is, because I heard also today a lot of things about more this actually top-down access to it, which I don't think it will work. We have right now, we have a TDC, which is not selected by the community. I'm wondering, what is this about? That's my question. The other thing is, also the quorum is not reached. I know a lot. We had dysfunctional TDCs before, where the quorum was not, and we had well, anyway, we don't need to go into it. So the question is about, what do you do about this? Also, the working committee is quite dysfunctional. What do you do about it? How can we have our voice back as a community? And what are you doing with the dream weaving? And I beg you, you have to bring the community together, and then you will have a beautiful city. And we are all woke up, and we are ready to collaborate.
Thank you. Manikandan is here. Is Manikandan here? If not, Anandi and then Michelle. Michael. Would you come in front? Yeah. Anandi, it's you. Yeah. Please come. And Michael, you're next. Would you come in front, please, Michael?
Well, I'll try to be quick. In all my years in Auroville, I've seen too many beautiful words on human unity, flexibility, collaboration, harmony, too many times said, when in fact we were fighting with each other, we were insulting each other. You only have to look at the Euronet for years and years to see. We are really not practicing what we are claiming we are trying to do. And the same happened with the city. Forever it was much easier to block than to stop, than to move. And now, it's funny because with all this big drama and all this, now for the first time in many years, I hear everybody say, no, but we are not against the city, oh, but we are not against the crown, but we are not against, we only want collaboration. But at the same time, there is a court case against the foundation. There is a resolution being passed to block, to stop. It's not to move forward, to collaborate, to see how we do. No, it is to stop. So I was wondering if, that's what I understood, maybe I misunderstood. So I was wondering, is not the moment for maybe Lavenir, TDC, and working committee to make a different proposal, what it means collaboration. It means there is no forces from outside, there is no police, of course, there is trees that need to be removed can be transplanted. Can we make a real progress in what it means collaboration in effect in the work? And I would like that we make a positive proposal to move forward, not to stop, because that's too easy.
Thank you, Anandi.
So I'm Michael, and I'll try to end up with a question, but actually I want to make a couple of observations rather than questions. The first is that I think the whole problem it becomes a problem because it's being framed falsely. It's being framed as if the people who are opposing what's going on at the moment, or many things that are going on at the moment, are against the city. And I don't think that's true. I take myself as an example. Look, I came to the ashram in Pondicherry when I was 25 years, just before I was 25 years old, when Mother was still in the body. I lived there for 10 years before I came out to Auroville, and I'm a devotee of Mother. That's why I'm here. I'm not here for human unity. I'm not here for city building. I'm here because it's Mother's dream. End of story, okay? So to frame it as if those people who are objecting to what's going on at the moment are opposed to building the city or are opposed to Mother's will as clearly expressed here and there and so forth, it's simply not true, and it should not be framed like that. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is a lot of talk. Sanjeev was a prime candidate on this one. We talk about Mother being very explicit in her plans, and we have a detailed plan that Mother gave us and so forth. I'm sorry, I don't think that's true. I think I'm as familiar as most, maybe more than some, with what Mother said in the days when the beginning of Auroville was taking place and it was being discussed. And of all the things that were discussed between Mother, Satprem, Roger, Paolo, etc., the only thing I'm aware of where Mother actually said to other people's suggestions, no, it has to be like this because I've seen it, was with the structure of the inner chamber, right? The structure of the inner chamber. Everything else was open for discussion. Mother knew very well that she was not a qualified city planner. You know, what she saw, she said it had to be like that. What she didn't see, she was willing to yield to the experts, okay? So to say that Mother said the Crown Road has to be like this is absolute nonsense as far as I'm concerned. She approved the plan that Roger gave her, but to take that as, written in stone, has to be a perfect circle, can't deviate a little bit because it might not destroy something that we'd like to keep. But Mother said, again, I'm sorry, I'm not such a fundamentalist, and my devotion to Mother, I think, is very sincere, personally. Yeah. So if we could stop framing this as, us against them, and us is for Mother and them is against Mother, or us is for the building the city and them is against the building of the city, we might have a chance of moving forward. This way, there's no chance of moving forward.
Thank you, Michael. Lakshay. Ramesh, can you come in, please? Ramesh, you can speak.
Okay, thank you, Uma. Stop me when it is 2 minutes are over because I have quite a few things to say. First of all, I would be quick for this list. First of all, I would like to thank Madam Secretary for calling this meeting. I think it is really timely because we are heading towards next RAM and residents should know what happened. And I felt this is really timely, so I thank her. And I also thank her especially after what happened last time. We, as India, are the land of Atiti Devo Bhava. In fact, Auroville is derived out of that idea of welcoming everyone from the world. And ma'am, you are our guest for whatever time, 2-3 years. And I apologize on our residents' behalf the way we treated you last time. I deeply apologize. Okay, we talk about human unity. For me, I came for that ideal too, and it's been my 6th year, and after having worked in TDC for a year, now I see what on the ground it really means. I see the bitterness, I see the profanities thrown at me, and I see that I'm already being boxed at one side. Whereas I have never ever tried to do anything on one side, and I don't have any particular reason to be on any one side. So all that I have tried in the last 1 year is for Auroville to progress. Coming back to starting from the first question, the gentleman with the black cap, I have held a lot of discussions in the last 1 year, and he kind of personified the kind of ideology that they represent. He asked a question, and he also wanted an answer in a certain way, and everything he dictated. If it is not, he walks out. That's how our interaction has been with the forest group, with the Bliss, and with the youth center, either our way or highway. That's how we could not progress. We talk about collaboration. There have been many efforts, earnest effort toward that. Mistakes. Sumit talked about it. And I believe, yes, mistake did happen. I think we should not, as a community, also brush under the carpet. We should learn from it. That's what a mature community does. And I also believe that it's not very particularly unique to TDC. Tell me which working group is perfect. Mistakes happen everywhere. I mean, one gentleman goes and files a case against Auroville against the directive of working committee, Foundation Act, and the working committee does not do anything. They do not condemn him. I think that's also the wrong thing. So mistakes happen everywhere. In my view, our job is also not to, look at it practically. All the people who serve in the working groups are really serving. There is no any extra benefit or incentives. So and we all, like he said, boldly progressing. When we take steps boldly, mistakes are bound to happen. Are we here to do things every step perfectly? And perhaps that's why 53 years we are waiting to take every step perfectly. Mistakes will happen, we can learn from it. And asking for resignation, right now this is another part of the RAM. I think resignation, and then what? We have a strong bench strength. You think the people are waiting, lining to, and they are all experts? And talking about expertise, why only are we targeting the TDC that they are not expert in mobility, they are not expert in town planning? Do we have chartered accountants in FAMC? Do we have MEd PhDs in SIRE? Sorry. So in that, I also do not think that it is fair to just corner TDC. Only one last point. Is it 2 minutes over? No, right? So, okay. Okay. In my view, this is a surgery, and it is unfortunate that we have come to this level. And I also see that this is only a thing that has manifested, and we can see it in open. We also, as a community, should ask ourselves in the other sectors, how is our economy doing? We talk about human unity. What about human dignity? How many Aurovillians can really go and have a coffee out of their maintenances? You know, what is the kind of scale of level of living that we have? Is it really affordable? And we also talk about forces from outside. We condemn the police. Why aren't we also condemning the forces of media, which is far more bigger, that we have invited to come forth on us? How will it impact our fundraising effort? How will it impact our further growth? And also, I condemn the conspiracy theories of involving the local politics and national politics. I think 2 minutes is over, right?
It's 4 minutes. Okay, thank you. Gajendran, come. We are not taking more questions. I'm so sorry we are not taking it. We have a list.
Thank you, everybody. Almost what I want to say, many people sharing this way, I'm going to be short. Ma'am, தூங்குறவனை நல்லா தூங்குறவனை எழுப்ப முடியாது. தூங்குற மாதிரி நடிக்கிறவனை அவன் என்ன எழுதுக்க மாட்டான். The people knows, everybody knows why they are here. Everybody knows. There is sincere people also here. There's no at all problem. There is few, only few. And the few had to recognize. our journey to mother dream. We are all mother dream builder, different level. But the questions, I'm saying the few of people, the biggest problem for the difficulty, the future forward to go.
Sorry, Gajandan, we are really running out of time, so thank you for Tuan, Partha. We can take Grace. Grace, you have something burning to ask? So come, let's. Huh? No, we are only taking question now, no answer, there's no time.
So I have about 7 questions. Sorry. I have 7 questions, but I will send them in writing. I will not read them out now because that would take much too long. So instead of asking 7 questions, I just want to add a few important details which were earlier mentioned. For example, what Guy rightly said, July 99. But there is also December 99, right? So the July 99 plan was not accepted by the governing board. It was sent back. They said you have to do a better job. And that better job is in my hand here. That is December 99. And December 99 was the one that the RA approved. And that was the one that was finally considered by the GB. And what does the December 99 say? On the opening page, offered to Sri Aurobindo and the mother, the inspiration they have given, the vision they have shown, and through both, their evolutionary and revolutionary force, Auroville will be. And below that is written, the citizens of Auroville appeal to the government of India to take all possible steps to safeguard the land for the realization of this master plan of Auroville, not for anything else. And this master plan of Auroville, can you just open any random page, has the crown, the radials, and the outer ring on 18 pages. It has a description of the crown on page number 8. Every page you turn, there is the crown, the radials, and the outer ring. In fact, there are many more pages with a drawing in this master plan than the one which was notified. That is my point number 1. My point number 2, there was a remark made about why suddenly this acceleration. So what Joseba has done, I've also done. It's a very boring work, but I went through the past records of 2001 onwards. And I studied all the governing board meeting minutes from 2001. And I found that there were 4, perhaps 5 meetings where the GB resolved that we cannot continue like this, the town development has to accelerate. There were 4 meetings where the GB asked the then Aroma Ravi, Ravi Chaudhry, Dr. Dattatri, and myself, we were a TDC advisory group. We had a meeting in July 2013 between that advisory group, the then TDC, the governing board, and the working committee. And what was resolved by all these people together, first clear the right-of-ways, make the DDPs, and accelerate the town development. I have this all on record. Now coming to the dream weaving. I would request you, because questions have been asked about this cable and all that, in the dream weaving workshop, Punasami and I are going to give a complete overview of the whole evolution, maybe revolution nowadays, of the electrical distribution and the energy plan. So I don't know if dream weaving is going to be open for the general public, but if it is, I would request you to come, because you will see all the details of why that cable has to be laid, how it relates to renewable energy, what it is already doing, etc. So please come for the dream weaving section on energy, which is going to be an afternoon from 3 to 5:30, I believe. Just check the programs. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to add one question which is not yet has been addressed by anybody. Daria has sent online and she says, what about 53 years we have given or we have been given to Auroville? So that's a question by Daria to reflect upon. Partha.
Hello everyone. I think this is the first time in my life I ever read so many quotes from the mother. I don't know if we really felt inside us when we are quoting or just we used to attack each other or to make sure that we are right. In my opinion, we all are wrong. You know, the moment we started fighting, blocking, all this time we had all our chances to build her city in our own way. Because for whatever reason, for political reason, that reason, this reason, we kept on blocking each other or do this, do go behind my house. I mean, we surely would have come to a harmonious conclusion, and if we sincerely sat and worked, we could have had the crown, and even whatever, the almost quarter of the galaxy would have done till now. But we are complaining about the government of India. Why they are here? Why they have to intervene in our business, in building our city? The problem is, we were too slow. We were not really thinking that this will happen. Then we are all shaken today. Oh, this is coming very heavily. And is it fair on the government of Indian government that they keep on giving us crores and be quiet, okay guys, just be chill and cool, and we are, I mean, we have to take it into consideration. If they are the people who are hosting us, as a teacher in a classroom, she will have some responsibility. That's everywhere. It's not that the children do whatever you want. I think if the children are bring the class in order, the teacher don't need to intervene. Similarly, we are talking about police. No police inside Auroville. I tell you, the mother has meant, I believe the mother has meant that we are become true soldiers and volunteers, that we will protect our city, and our lifestyle would be such that no police intervention is needed in Auroville. That's what I believe I understood. But today, the police, who's going to the police? I know in my tenure of working committee, more times we went to the police than the police came to the Auroville. Okay? So it's actually us who lost it. It's we go to the police. Actually, when the police has been very gentle, in my opinion, when they came, and they were handling us very in a decent way. If it was Tamils, I'm saying any Indians who've been doing that, 10 minutes, they would do lathi charge and make them run here and there. I tell you, they handled all of you very carefully, in a very gentle way, as best they could. You know? And if we don't want police, if our bike is lost, then let's go all search for it. Then why we go give a police complaint? See, we have to understand the police, the law and order we are part of the government. And they are here to help us. I've never seen police has been too harsh. Many times I went and intervened for so many times. First the same youth center, bring back the equipments. You know, they've been very gentle. Today the police came, oh, Partha brought police. You know, it's okay, no problem. In politics, everything happens. I mean, I got used to it. Having said that, you know, I think the time has come. The time has come. Let's all wake up. You know, let's give our egos, you know, personal interest, Western interest, whatever interest. I mean, I think the government is here not to split us, not to throw anyone, not to cancel anybody's visas. I have personally heard the ma'am says, we want to have the more diversity, the more the people from different part of the nations are here. That makes this special very special. Okay, that is the unique, authenticity, and the real flavor of Auroville as a community to give a great image to the world. So let's trust each other, and let's not say we collaborate, we do these, but let's actually show in our little bit of action, let's take a step forward and help collaborate and build our city.
Thank you, Partha. There is two questions more, but one question has come as a collective, which I will not take. We are taking only individual question. There is one question from Hais. How does reinforcing any development in Auroville with police force and violation fit into Charter of Auroville and Foundation Act? From Guys, it came online, and it has been already addressed many times. So, and then there is a question which has no name. So I will let go. Come, Grace.
My name is Grace. Good evening, madam, and good evening, all of you. I thank first to madam, secretary, and thanks to the 11-year TDC present team, and thanks to my guru Sanjeev ji, my teacher. When I came here and 17 years old, he was a law school teacher, so he was teaching English. So I came here, I didn't know Mother and Sri Bindu, first of all. And I just came, brought up for somebody here. So I inspired the collective work together. And that is, I was inspired and I joined Auroville. And when in few years back, when I built a house at a pump house, we were stayed long, 1985. So now people talking about human unity, like a bee and like that. But that time they said only foreigners can stay in international zone, no Tamil people. Even it was announced in the news and notes. Also their international zone pavilion meeting also, Indian can move out from the international zone, who were safeguard from the beginning of the purchase of the land. So that was very hurt us. And the TDC was looking it, Srivatavaji, and I don't know, I remember. They looked at all the cultural zone and other zones, and it's a planned, the residents also included. So we want to give a NOC to that. So thanks to every that. Also who were supported us, Vazo, Renu, and Mitta and Darkali people also supported for the human unity.
What is your question?
And that is my question. So to human unity means everybody to human unity, not only foreigners or Indians. Separation, everybody to build the Auroville mother's dream. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We are done with all the questions. So maybe 1 minute of silence. People are leaving. Just stay with a minute of silence and then we go. We have stopped taking names, so I just completed what we had. I'm so sorry, but next time we'll start with a better time. Thank you. You can write and give the question. That would be accepted or rather respected right now in this moment. We are very late. We are 50 minutes late. Thank you, everybody. 1 minute of silence together, please. Anupma, please be in the room.